When dealing with order of operations, it's really a matter of knowing your math facts and doing a particular set of tasks in a particular order. And your particular set of tasks in this order is going to be this piece right here. Sometimes your teachers will call it PEMDAS, or they'll say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Those are all just ways to try to remember an acronym of what steps to do when. I have two examples to show off. Each one of them is going to incorporate this PEMDAS idea. So the first example that I have down here on the left starts with a set of grouping symbols. So the first thing that I would observe, let's grab a different color here. I'm going to look for any sort of grouping symbol, parentheses, division bars, absolute value signs, and I see a pair of parentheses right there. So the stuff inside has to happen first. So I have 8 plus 3, nothing happens there. And nothing happens to my exponent, but 10 minus 3 becomes 7. So step number 1, complete. Step number 2, exponents. I happen to have an exponent. That exponent is this little guy right here. And the little guy is simply touching that line. That line is a parenthesis, so I find the other half of the parenthesis, and that thing is what we square. Squaring is, of course, timesing it by itself. So 8 plus 3 hasn't been messed with yet, but 7 times itself becomes 49. So exponents are now done. I move on down my line, multiply and divide. Well, I see a plus sign here. That's not a thing. And I see a multiplication, 3 times 49, so I better do that. So 8 plus 3 times 49 is 147. And multiplication and division are done. And next I move to add and subtract. And 8 plus 147 is, of course, what's that? 155. And we're done. All right. To the example on the right-hand side, I'm going to do the same technique. The only difference here is I have variables with numbers to substitute in their place. So in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that it gives me an equation or an expression, but it tells me that when x is negative 17. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the x and I'm going to replace it with negative 17. And over here, y equals 1. I'm going to replace the y's with a 1. That's called substitution. Now I'm going to go right back to purple and my previous step. The parentheses. Well, I have two grouping symbols. I have the absolute value sign. Absolute value signs mean do the math that's on the inside and then make that math positive. So negative 17 minus 4 or plus negative 4 means negative 21. Make that positive, it becomes 21, and that part's done. Now we'll move over to this parenthesis right here. 1 minus negative 8, let's make that keep add opposite. So 1 plus 8 becomes 9, and inside of our parentheses, I have a 9. I'm going to include the parentheses because that's how some teachers will write it. I move down to exponents, I don't have any. Move down to multiply and divide, I skip that step because I don't have any. I finish the problem off with add and subtract, and we're done. All right, so don't make too much of order of operations, just follow your steps and be careful with those absolute value signs.